Sugar, especially fructose and high fructose corn syrup. This is very poisonous. These are anti-nutrients. They're not natural products. Every time you put sugar in your body, you will just deplete other vitamins, minerals, things to try to actually metabolize the sugar. There's so many reasons not to use sugar. It's unbelievable. This actually increases that omega-6 histamine levels. By the way, all these things actually increase pro-inflammatory chemicals in your body. Food additives, things like monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG, nitrates, nitrites, these are found in things like ham and bacon and these processed meats. They're put in there as preservatives. Aspartame, also known as NutraSweet. It's a very toxic chemical. It's actually made up of 3 chemicals. Aspartic acid, which is an amino acid, phenylalanine, which is another amino acid, and methyl alcohol, which is a known neurotoxin. We deal with methyl alcohol overdose in the emergency department. So now why did they put that in your food? Because it's sweet. That's why. So let me just give you a little story on aspartame and some of these other sweeteners. One day a chemist, I'm not making this up, was dealing with a bunch of chemicals. He had a little aspartic acid here, a little phenylalanine, a little methyl alcohol, and he got them on his hands. By mistake, mixed them all up, and he licked his fingers and go, wow, that's really sweet. Hallelujah, we've just invented a sweetener. It doesn't matter what it does to you, it's sweet, and it's actually approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Not a good product. Unfortunately, a lot of the foods that we're recommending for diabetics contain aspartame. This can lead to blindness, headaches, all sorts of things, and of course allergic reactions, which is the spin here on this talk. By the way, if you ever hear me talk before, I always end up bashing the same items. It's always fried foods, it's always sugar, and it's always food additives. Why? Because these 3 main ingredients cause just about every single symptom you could possibly imagine. So the talks are all basically, it's just a different spin I'm going to put on it. Here's how it can lead to menopausal symptoms. Here's how it can lead to cardiovascular symptoms. Here's how it can lead to allergies. Here's how it can lead to premature this, fatigue, whatever it is. If you come to my talks, I'm going to end up talking about the same things. Get them out of your diet. They are so poisonous. So how do we make deposits to our adrenal bank account? What is the good things that we should do? Well, proper rest, sleeping the right amount of time at the right time of day as well. Okay, you need to sleep at night and be awake during the day. The opposite is very bad for your overall body. It will destroy you in the long term. Proper exercise and activities, healthy, balanced diet. Now, what is a healthy, balanced diet? This is sort of a controversial thing. If you ask 100 people on the street what a healthy, balanced diet is, you're probably going to get 100 different answers. I'm not saying my answer is the answer. I'm saying that I've spent a good part of my life studying this, and the information that I get comes directly from medical studies, directly from the literature itself, not someone's opinion, but actually from the medical literature. And what's being recommended, the healthy, balanced diet, is not what we're seeing from the food pyramid, for example. And there's only 3 what are called macronutrients. Macro means big, nutrients, well, so the big 3 are proteins, fats, and carbs. What is the proper balance of this? Well, here's what the Food and Drug Administration says. They're saying keep your total fat less than 65 grams a day, keep saturated fat less than 20 grams a day, keep cholesterol less than 300 milligrams a day. Therefore, they're saying the less you have of these, the better, right? Well, that defines them as poisons, right? No optimal level of a poison. The smaller amount of poison you put in the body, the better it is. So according to the Food and Drug Administration, fat is a poison, saturated fat is a poison, and cholesterol is a poison. Are they really poisons? That's insane. I just showed you before, cholesterol actually makes your hormones. We find saturated fat in breast milk. In fact, 55% of the caloric components of breast milk is actually saturated fat and cholesterol. I don't think that this is actually correct. And if you went to my last talk over at the Wellness Center a couple weeks ago, I spent an hour talking about actually how this is a fabrication. Unfortunately, Now, they're also saying over here, 300 grams of carbs. This is a minimum. 300 grams of carbs a day on a 2,000 calorie diet is the minimum that you need to be healthy, according to the Food and Drug Administration. And 375 grams of carbs on a 2,500 calorie diet. This is not a huge diet in terms of caloric intake. It's actually very small. At least 300 grams of carbs and no more than these other ones. So carbohydrates, good. The more the better. And fat is bad, the less the better. This is what's being promulgated by a lot of different people for reasons that seem sort of ridiculous. Now, this is what is known as the food pyramid, the famous food pyramid. Where did this come from? Who created the food pyramid? What is the purpose of it? The food pyramid was created by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The mission of the U.S. Department of Agriculture is to ensure the profitability of the food companies. That's it. There's no other reason this thing exists. Look at what they're actually recommending and think about what the recommendations are. 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates every day. That means, what's a serving? The equivalent of about 2 slices of bread. So 2 slices of bread, you need 6 of those. So they're saying 2 to 4 servings. So 4 to 8 slices of bread for breakfast, 4 to 8 for lunch, and 4 to 8 for dinner. That's a lot of carbohydrates, isn't it? Plus, on top of that, they want you to eat 2 to 4 servings of fruit, and 3 to 5 servings of vegetables, and 2 to 3 servings of meat, fish, dried beans, eggs, nuts, and 2 to 3 servings of the meat, yogurt, cheese group, and keep those fats and oils away because they're poisonous. How many people do you know eat that much food in one day? We're laughing. It's insane what they're recommending. Now, why did they make this recommendation? What is so important about this group down here, by the way? Well, this stuff is called fruits and fruits. They're perishable. They don't last on a shelf very long. The markup is pretty low. You can't make a lot of money selling fruit. Same here. You can't make a lot of money selling vegetables. They perish. A lot of work involved there. Well, same thing over here. You got to raise these animals, and it's perishable goods. Same thing over here. So these are low-profit foods. Well, guess what? Right here, a box of spaghetti. How long can that last on a shelf for? A year? 2 years? How about a box of cereal? How about a box of anything that's a carbohydrate? These things can last for years. So here's where you make your profit. High markup, long shelf life. This is the only reason that these things are being recommended by the Food and Drug Administration. I'm sorry, by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The only reason, no other reason. And all the scientific evidence shows that if you eat this much carbohydrates in a day, you will actually cause all sorts of problems, including allergies, inflammation, obesity, heart disease, everything. I don't have time to get into all that today. That's not the purpose of this talk. But can't not talk about this. Here we go. This is a box of Frosted Flakes. 1 ounce serving. This is one of those little snack packs, they call them. Let's look at what the government is saying. Same thing I just said before. Total carbs, 26 grams, equals 9% of the daily value. So 9% times 11 is 99, which is essentially 100. And 26 times 11 is about 300. So if you ate 11 boxes of Frosted Flakes a day, you'd be getting 100% of the daily value of carbohydrates. And you'll be healthy. Iron. And all these cruddy vitamins. I just saw something on the internet the other night I always thought was amazing. Guy took a box of, I think it was cornflakes. He had the cover, the box. He didn't identify what the name of the product. I guess he didn't want to get sued. He took these flakes, a breakfast cereal that was fortified with iron. He put it in a bowl of water, and then he took a magnet, and he was able to move the cornflakes with the magnet because there's actually metal fragments in the cornflakes. He went the next step. He took the box of cornflakes. He showed you to this in live. Put it in a blender. Blended it up. Then took a magnet and ran it through this slushy stuff. And the metal fragments actually came out of the cornflakes. This is poison. So a lot of these fortified foods, I would bet the iron in here are metal fragments. So you think that's going to cause allergies and inflammation?